Hey everyone, I have an interesting, if not unfortunate, but definitely interesting video for today. So John Kerry, the U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate, or the Climate Czar, has openly admitted that green energy is built on the back of slave labor. Yep, not coming from me, coming from him. But first, it's Andy with the Heartland Institute, bringing you more from climaterealism.com. Okay, so before we get into what's actually going on with the slave labor, let's actually talk about what John Kerry said. In a recent interview, John Kerry said this when asked about working with China. He said, and I quote, "China doesn't benefit by not having America as a partner in dealing with climate, and the United States doesn't benefit from not having China as a partner in climate. So we're just disciplined. We have differences on economic rules, on cyber. We have other differences on human rights, geostrategic interests, but those differences do not have to get in the way of something that is critical as dealing with climate. So yeah, we might differ on economics, sure. Yeah, we have some differences on privacy. And yeah, we have differences on human rights." Now, he says human rights, but what is he actually talking about? He's talking about this. He's talking about the Uyghurs. Most people are pretty knowledgeable about the Uyghurs these days, but let me just briefly go into it. The Uyghurs are an ethnically Turkish group living in the Xinjiang region of China. There's about 12 million of them. The issue is that the Chinese government isn't a huge fan of these Uyghurs. They say that they're a huge threat for terrorist activity and point towards 2 isolated incidents in the past, but they're using that as a reason for re-education camps. Really, these are essentially concentration camps or prisons. It's estimated that more than 1 million Uyghurs are in these Chinese re-education camps. There is extensive evidence that they're being used as forced labor. Now, can you see how this is going to lead back to the green energy thing? You probably can. But let's go past that. So many people call this a genocide. Now, while the Chinese may not be bringing the Uyghurs to dirt pits and shooting them, what they are doing is forcibly sterilizing the women that are in the re-education camps and even bringing large groups of Uyghur women together and sterilizing all of them. So pretty much preventing the ability to have kids and to further the Uyghur population. Now, the United States and Canada have come out and said this is a genocide, and they're not the only nations, others have. But there are 37 nations that have actually come out in support of China and said they're engaging in remarkable achievements in human rights. What are these nations? Let's look at it. So some of these nations include the human rights supporters of Russia, Syria, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, yes, the pinnacle of human rights, Zimbabwe, Saudi Arabia. Everyone knows how good they are to their woman. And Sudan. So the list goes on, but those are the nations that actually came out and said, no, China's doing remarkable things in human rights. China doesn't deny the existence of these camps, but they deny that they're concentration camps or prisons or slavery. What they say is that this is actually vocational training, largely. They say 2 things. One, and I mentioned this earlier, that the Uyghurs were behind 2 terrorist attacks and they need to reintegrate them into society and bring them into the Chinese way of things for safety. And they also say it's vocational training, that these people go here and they learn job skills and then they go back into the world and they're better trained and all of that. Now, the issue is twofold. One, we're going to look at some pictures here that show that this isn't really vocational training. And 2, documents actually leaked from China and then were published, I believe, in 2019 that were called the China Cables. What these documents did is detailed the incredibly harsh treatment the Uyghurs were undergoing in these re-education camps. And then there's the pictures. So here we go. I wanted to show you all a picture of one of the outsides of one of these re-education camps before we kind of, went on the inside. Here we're looking at a group of Uyghurs that appear to be inside of some closed enclosure with a guard right there in the background. Here's another image from the same scene. It looks like you got a bunch of guards in there with the Uyghurs, and then on the whole outside of the fenced-in area, there's guards everywhere. Up to 500,000 people in these re-education camps are being forced to pick cotton, and there's evidence that cotton factories have actually been built inside of the camps. This is the image I really wanted to show you all. This is a top-down view of one of the re-education camps in an attempt to figure out what everything in there is. So on the very bottom, we can see that there is a prison-like area covered with watchtowers that are all circled. Then up on the top, we've got the visitation area. You got a hospital. We've got dorm-like buildings. Then we got the police station and finally a neighborhood center. So there's 12 million Uyghurs. 1 million of them are in these re-education camps. They're being forced to engage in manual hard labor, are building green energy like solar panels and wind turbines. And I haven't gotten into that yet, but we're going to get to John Kerry's admission on that in a second. Then there are the reports from people who have escaped these camps. And what they say is that there is extensive physical, mental, and sexual torture. Women have spoken up about mass rape and sexual abuse taking place. What's interesting here is that 80% of the world's solar panels are produced in China. Many of these are produced in the Xinjiang region. In the Xinjiang region, they have the Uighurs in the re-education camps who are engaging in forced labor producing these solar panels. John Kerry had to testify before the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and he was pressed on the interview where he talked about human rights differences. And he made a shocking admission. So I'm going to play the clip for you, and then we'll talk about it right after.
How can you assure us or ensure that this quest that we're on, that slave labor coming out of China, where genocide is taking place as we speak, are never a part of the climate solution in the United States?
You're absolutely correct. Ranking Member McCall, it is a problem. Xinjiang province not only produces some of the solar panels that we believe are being, in some cases, produced in forced labor by Uyghurs.
So there it is. John Kerry says that they believe that some of these solar panels are being produced by forced labor from the Uyghurs. And let's be clear here. If you're unsure, you don't say that. Or if there's, the tiniest of chance, you don't say that because it sounds terrible. You say that and then you make it sound like it could be happening if it's freaking happening. And it's happening. And that's what John Kerry said. He's just not going to go out there and say like, oh yeah, no, the solar panels that we want to mandate you have, yeah, those are coming from slaves. This is such a big story that's getting no news coverage. For those of you on the left that really do care about human rights, and I believe that a lot of you people do, I just don't think you do it in the right way. This is something that you should push. This is literal current modern day slavery, and we're seemingly okay with it. This is the kind of thing that we should all come together on and just give a resounding, like, I shouldn't swear here, an F no. Like screw that. We're like, hell no. It's so horrible. And the fact that they can just gloss over this as a minor difference in human rights is disgusting. And it really does make you think, like, what are these people like? But John Kerry admitted that slave labor is fueling solar panels. It's fueling green energy. And apparently we're okay with that. It's Andy with the Heartland Institute. I hope you got something out of this video. Till next time. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel and consider donating to the Heartland Institute to support more vibrant free markets, greater individual liberties, and more videos like this one.